What's missing from your marketing strategy? Well, here's a hint. It's not another Instagram post. Okay. Some of us are relying too heavily on social media to grow our business today, but there's a lot of old school tactics that work just as well as the new school ones that ultimately need to come together to really help you have the best of both worlds. In today's episode, we're going to break down the old school and the new school and show you how to blend the perfect mix for your marketing success. Welcome to the Salon Scoop, a podcast by Salon S.O.S. I'm your host, Scott Moon, the founder of Salon S.O.S., and I'm obsessed with helping salon professionals live their best life. In this show, we shop talk all things salon to bring you real-life stories, debates, entertainment, and inspiration to help you find happiness and success in this beautiful industry. If you work in the salon industry in any capacity, this podcast is open to you. So set down your scissors or rinse out that toner and let's get into it. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Salon Scoop. Today we're going to get the scoop on how to combine the very best of all tactics, old school, new school, to help your business. There's clearly no denying the power of digital marketing, right? The new school when it comes to gaining new salon clients, right? Social media, websites, email campaigns, text campaigns, Google, right? They're all essential tools. But are we forgetting and leaving behind some of the old school ones that worked very well in the past and actually still work very well today? Think word of mouth, right? Referrals, local partnerships and businesses. All of those are tactics that were successful for years and years and years before digital marketing became a reality. We shouldn't just throw them out. You don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater, as one expression says. To help me through this, I've got a hybrid herself. Sarah, you say that you are kind of, in between the old school and the new school. You kind of grew up maybe with a bit of both. But Sarah Perrin, our content specialist and salon owner of Chalk Salon, is with us again today to break down this topic. Hey, Sarah, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I am great. Are you more of old school, new school, like in terms of your essence at the core?
Well, this is why it's so interesting, because when I was building my own clientele, like I started when I was 18, and I started I started in the salon industry when I was 16 kind of thing. So I'm like, that's already, almost 20 years ago. And social media wasn't that big of a thing at that point, right? So when I personally was building my own clientele, I think Facebook was kind of, just starting to become a thing. But in terms of marketing online, it really wasn't much of a thing. If anything, maybe you threw a ad up on Kijiji or something like that, right? So when I was personally building my aesthetic clientele, it was all word of mouth. It was being at the bar on a Saturday night and throwing your card out to all the girls in the bathroom. It was dropping your card on every, table that you were at out for supper, right? My entire clientele was based on word of mouth and not social media. But now it's interesting because I'm not building my clientele. In fact, it's quite the opposite, where I'm starting to dwindle and, get out of doing aesthetics as often. And so I'm trying to help, this kind of new generation of stylists that's coming up, and they're, 19, 20, and they've always grown up with social media. So that is kind of their go-to. And I can see the pros and cons of both. In fact, I always tell them, I'm like, I feel like it's kind of a double-edged sword, because it's like, as much as it's like it's an opportunity to be able to market yourself in a way that you're not having to, again, go up to people on the street or go up to people and put yourself in kind of an uncomfortable conversation or position if you're not that typical kind of personality. Like, it's a great opportunity for that. but it's also so saturated, right? So everybody is doing that. And now it's become a thing. If you're not doing social media well, that could be the difference between somebody coming to you and not, right? So again, I have a love-hate relationship with it. And again, I am low-key kind of thankful that when I was building, that wasn't something that I had to concern myself with, because it really is. It's a full-time job in and of itself.
Yeah, and this is the reality of what our industry is seeing, right? So you have the newer stylists that are so into digital marketing and everything online, but they are either not good or not comfortable with some of the human, sort of more old school tactics. And then on the flip side, you have your more experienced, seasoned professionals that maybe are leaning too heavily on some of the old school methods, just word of mouth, and are not leaning into all of the opportunities that digital marketing and technology gives us, to be able to grow faster. And the truth is, and this is usually the case, that success lies in the middle, right? To truly build and sustain a successful salon business in today's world, you need a balance, right? Between the personal marketing as well as some digital marketing. And in today's episode, that's what we are going to break down. So, Sarah, I'd love if you start us off by just sharing some top lines as why digital marketing alone isn't enough in today's world.
So I think it's important to remember, and I know we've talked about this time and time again, but that client avatar, that ideal client avatar, who are the people that you want to see in your chair, right? And are they even on Instagram or social media or whatever it might be, right? So this is something I've had to have conversations even with my girls about. Like, I'm like, as much as it's fun to have, like the young college kids coming in, they're not typically the ones that have money to spend on your big ticket items, right? And they're maybe not coming as consistently. So it's like, are you trying to get that bread and butter, those root touch-ups, those office workers, middle-aged or a little bit older, or you know what I mean? Like, so what type of clientele are you looking for? And if you are trying to build, either a well-rounded or a more established clientele, they might not be on Instagram. So if that's the only place that you're marketing to, they're not seeing it, right? So that's one of the reasons that social media can't be the only form of marketing that you do. Another thing is, again, social media is noisy. Like I was just saying before, everybody and their dog literally has an Instagram page, right? So
Yeah.
it's like you're competing against that. So again, it's still important to have that so that you have some brand awareness. I always look at social media as like a really good way to build trust and credibility, right? So if you happen to, again, meet somebody on the street, then they can go check out your Instagram and be like, yeah, they're really good at what they do, right? So it's still important to have it. But again, it's busy, it's noisy. There's so
Yeah.
many people on it that you're competing with constantly. So if it's your only form of marketing, you better be knocking it out of the park, right?
I would love to see a statistic of how many dog and cat Instagram accounts exist out there. That would be wild.
Don't get me wrong, like I'm like my Ed, like I'm like he is pretty much my personality, and I still wouldn't. I can't have an Instagram page for him. Like I'm like it just isn't. And to
Uh,
speak in his voice. Anyways, I digress. But the other thing is too, it's passive, right? So you're just posting, you're setting it and forgetting it, right? There's no follow through, there's no human connection, there's no nothing like that. It's just kind of you're putting it out there and hoping the right person sees it. So you really don't have any major control over it. And I always tell my team at work that I'm like, because they'll be like, oh, I've posted this and this and this 100 times. And I'm like, social media marketing is kind of like fishing. Like sometimes you'll throw out 300, lines before you ever get a bite. So it is, you don't have as much control over it, but it is still important. So again, that's why I love this conversation of like, how do we find that perfect blend of old school and new school?
Yeah, and I mean those are great things to keep in mind, right? Like we can't just be focused on those because there are challenges with those newer, social media digital tools, but we also can't rely only on the old school tactics, right? So for professionals who have been in the industry for many years, it's easy to think, hey, you know what? I built my clientele this way in the past, through word of mouth. I don't need to bother with all this social media stuff and, Google and whatnot. But the truth is that even the most loyal guests, right, shift over time, right? People move, lifestyles change, new competition pops up and creates attention. And as a result, people change their habits. And we know this. I mean, everybody's grandparents are now, at the very least on Facebook and, purchasing products on Amazon that didn't happen back in the day. And obviously, the younger generations are very, very much on their mobile devices to look for everything, whether it's, checking out your salon websites, whether it's checking out, Google profiles and reviews, whether it's checking out, and hanging out on time just on social media. So even if they might have heard of you through a friend, they're still going and checking you out online. And if you don't have an online presence, it is a deterrent for them. So it's just something that you really need to be cognizant of. Is digital is here and it is the future, but we can't lose touch with the whole personal human side and connection, because at the end of the day, I believe as we go more and more towards, AI and technology, people are going to want more and more connection, and that's going to help you differentiate yourself through the experiences that you can create. So the magic really is in the mix, finding the balance, right, between the old school and the new school. So Sarah, let's delve into that to understand, how do we create a balanced marketing plan that's going to create that human connection, but also incorporate some of the powerful digital tools?
The entire idea for this blog and podcast actually kind of came from me having a conversation with our new manager that we just hired within the last couple months at my salon. And funny enough, she actually hired me and my sister for both of our first jobs in the salon. So when I was 16, when she was 18, she was our manager at Chatters. So again, she's been in the game for a while, and
And
it was
now
funny
you've
because we
just
were
hired,
having
and
this.
now you've just hired her as a manager?
Yeah.
That's an ultimate, like, full circle moment.
Oh my, it's incredible. And again, she's absolutely incredible. Like, she gave us our start kind of thing, and she hopes to retire with us. So yeah, it is definitely a full circle. And she's incredible at what she does. But it was so interesting because, again, obviously, a big part of what I do is digital marketing, with you, with my salon, everything like that. So I do tend to focus very, very heavily on social media marketing, everything like that. And one day she was talking to me and she was like, dude, I miss the old school days of Chatters where you would just walk around the mall and you would hand out your card to people and you would, again, like, talk to people. And she's like, I think people are really desperately craving that human connection again. And I was like, yeah, that's actually such a good point. And I was like, and also, we always coach to, again, like, you want to market to the type of clientele that you want. And again, if you're just doing that on Instagram and you're just doing it for, 16 to 20-year-olds, like, again, is that your ideal client? Maybe, again, sometimes, but like, they're not the ones that have money. They're not the ones that are spending money on these luxury services, right? So that was what kind of kicked off this idea. And we started doing a lot more in-person marketing, and it has been so hugely successful, like, in a way that I like didn't anticipate. So I'll give you some other ideas of what you can do, but like, feel free to steal this one because it has gone over so well. So I made little postcards that say, hey, welcome to Chalk, we are located here, and we'd love for you to come and visit. So you can bring this in and you can use it to redeem a I can't remember exactly what the discounts are, but like a percentage off your first service or a complimentary blowout with new talent, whatever it might be, right? And then we also actually give a little teensy, like a hair, like a shampoo or conditioner sachet with it too. That then if they're like, "Ooh, I love this," come in, get the full size one for 10% off or whatever it is, right? And the response to it has been so incredible. So our manager, what she does is she goes around with one of our stylists that's maybe not as busy at the time, and they drop off these cards, they make these connections, everything like that. But I went with her the one day, and I again like was shocked at how great the response was. People are like, people don't do this anymore. This is so nice. Oh my gosh, I'm totally going to book. And sometimes people are calling that day to book. Sometimes people are like, can you send an email with this so I can shoot it off to everybody in the company because it's a large company, right? So
Where are you
again, I
going? Can
feel
you
like
clarify, Sarah? Can you clarify for us where are you going to drop off these postcards?
that would definitely help. We're going to businesses kind of around our area. So we're kind of in the downtown area. So we are kind of like canvassing all throughout. So we'll do everything from actually hotels have been super, super beneficial. We'll drop off some, discounted like blowout cards. And all of a sudden, guests who are there on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, they don't know where to go to get these things and they're here for a wedding. Cool. They're calling in, they're booking. Again, local boutiques, coffee shops, law offices, like anything you can, the police station, like there's all sorts of different places where we've gone and dropped these things off. And again, the cost of what it, took me to make these postcards, I'm like, within 2 clients booking and it's already paid itself back, right? So yeah, it's just again, I feel like adding that human connection. So that's one way. Sorry, I kind of went off on a tangent there, but it just works so well for us. But another thing that you could also do too for like again that kind of in-person marketing is again, like I said, how I did it. Drop your card off everywhere you are, right? You're out for dinner, throw some cards on the table. You're meeting a new group of friends or you're at the bar, throw the cards out, right? Make it rain with your business cards. And again, to kind of tie that in with the new school, throw your Instagram, like throw a QR to get to your Instagram on there, or throw a link to your Instagram so that they can kind of check out both, right? So that's also a really good one. And then again, just having that referral conversation with your existing guests. I feel like that's even a part that has been kind of, again, with like newer school, it's become almost like this awkward conversation to have in person. But just going back to like, again, like the old school way of like, hey, I love you. I love having you in my chair. And I'm sure your friends and family are similar to you. If you send them my way, I'll reward you with X percentage off your next service, right? So just like, again, kind of getting out of your comfort zone and having those conversations.
Love it. It's so important, and the human connection factor is critical. So I like how you're connecting with local businesses, probably attending local events where you can, speaking to your existing customers. That stuff is never going to go away. So do not stop doing that. At the same time, it's important to embrace some of the newer school technology that can help you grow your business. And beyond just social media, we all understand, social media is great and it's important to have a consistent presence. We have so many episodes of this podcast that you can listen to, where we've interviewed, industry influencers, people who have, grown their business through social media. We encourage you to check out some of those episodes for tips. But here's a couple of other digital areas that are super important. Obviously, your salon website. And that's whether you're a salon of one, a business of one, or you're, a salon company with, 5, 10, 50 employees or staff. It's great to have that page because it's your presence on your design. It's not, Instagram looks like the same for everybody, right? TikTok, it's the same for everybody. You're on their platform. The website is yours, right? So you just want to make it easy to navigate. Obviously, mobile friendly, showcases, who you are, your work. It's really a customized place. And obviously, it's critical for you to be able to show up in Google searches, right? Everything that we talk about, SEO, search engine optimization, relies on you having a basic website to start with. Secondly, Sarah, you talked about connecting with local businesses and, dropping off postcards. It'd be great to, try to create a relationship and see if maybe you can have an email, campaign that goes out where you maybe are offering it could be a special offer to like the staff of a local business that goes out by email. So they really send that to every single one of their employees. Or perhaps you do an outreach by email to a bunch of different businesses and offer to come in and, either do maybe lunchtime express services on site, or again, exclusive discounts could be interesting. Google always is critical. We talk about it. Having your Google business profile up to date is important. Please make sure that you're checking it at the very least quarterly, if not monthly, to make sure that your information is up to date, and be encouraging people to leave reviews. Online reviews are critical. And finally, email marketing, right? You're receiving emails from all sorts of companies out there. Why should you as a company not be emailing your customers or text message? But you need to have some regular communication because our visit cycle is so long in our industry, right? 6 weeks is now probably the norm, but sometimes it's more, 8 weeks, 12 weeks. That's a long time to go without having any kind of communication or connection. Using digital allows you to stay connected and keep your clients engaged between visits and keep you top of mind so that they don't feel tempted to wander off somewhere else. All right, Sarah, let's just sort of finish this up now by talking about how does this look like really specifically? How does it come together? All these ideas that we've talked about, with maybe like one client that we are sort of having an interaction with.
For sure. So I think it is just about, again, like you don't want to, again, put all your eggs in one basket, but you also don't want to spread yourself too thin, right? So this all sounds like a lot, but especially when you're building and you have that time, it is easy once you have a game plan to kind of mold these things together, right? So like I said, I'm like a good way of, like kind of mixing the two things is when you meet somebody in person and you give them a business card, ask them to follow you on Instagram or ask for their Instagram so you can follow them, right? So I'm like, again, you're getting that human connection plus you're following them on Instagram. Whereas I find, again, kind of the new school way of doing it is just going and looking for people online, following them if they look like they're your ideal clientele, and then only interacting over social media, right? Whereas if somebody has met you in person, they're far more likely, again, to follow you back, to book in eventually, to interact with your stuff online, right? So that's, again, a good way of just like molding those two together. If you get a referral, or again, like have a client that is just like a standout kind of thing, ask if you can feature them on social media. Right. So it's like, again, kind of overlapping those things. Obviously, you have to ask permission for these types of things. But again, just like, putting a story on Instagram saying like, hey, I had such a great day. Like one of my long-term clients, I realized that I have 15 clients over the years that has come from her. So I just want to like give a shout out because I couldn't do it without these types of clients in my chair. Right. You're kind of overlapping these two worlds are meeting. A final one too is like when you post a new service online, you can let local businesses, like I say, if you kind of build that relationship, you can let them know via email, you can tag them on social media, you can drop off, let's say a flyer or something like that, just being like, hey, this is new, would love to have you check it out, right? So yeah, those are a couple of different things to do. And then obviously, if a client finds you online, you want to make sure that in-person experience is just as good as your online presence, right? So yeah, just making sure that you're touching on both of those because yeah, you can't do one really without the other and be super, super successful with them. So yeah, just finding that nice happy medium where both worlds meet. Money.
That's it. The bottom line is that human connection plus digital visibility equals success. Right? So for all you newer salon professionals out there, don't just hide behind your screen. Get out there, meet people, invite them into your chair, create that great human experience. And for the more seasoned pros out there, you have to embrace those digital tools to complement, the word of mouth and human skills that you've built so well over the years. All right, share this episode, everyone. Old school, new school, colliding together. The key and success lies in the middle. Have a great day. Thank you so much for listening to the Salon Scoop podcast. This show is produced by Salon S.O.S, a digital marketing agency by industry professionals for industry professionals. If you want simple and affordable solutions for any of your salon marketing needs, such as websites, client loyalty, Google search rankings, social media, or more, come visit us at salonsos.ca or on Instagram at salon.s.o.s. If you want to hear more episodes like this and help us continue to bring the industry great content, it would mean so much to us if you would support us in one of the following ways. Either share this episode with one other industry professional and rate the show on Spotify or write us a quick review on Apple Music. We want to hear your feedback. If you have follow-up questions or ideas for future episodes, please reach out. DM us on Instagram at salonus.s.o.s or hit us up on our website again at salonsos.ca. Again, thanks so much for listening. Now go get your hustle on, keep smiling, and we'll catch you on our next episode.